And from that cogent discussion there on forest conservation, we now come back to studio and train our focus on parenting during festive season. That is what you're set to converse in like the next 40 minutes or so. I have created First Time with Immaculate Salaon, who is the founder and CEO of Community Initiative Agenda, also a parent. And at the center is Duncan Chumo, who's a life coach, a parent and a teacher by training. Welcome to the program, lady and gent.
Thank you, Doreen.
Thank you.
Excited about Christmas, just 5 days to Christmas. All right, this is actually the longest school break since learners resumed school after COVID-19 break. We are talking about 2 months. Some weeks already down, like 2 or something already down. And I want to start with you, Immaculate, on this one. Is this something that parents need to be celebrating or happy about? 2 months in the house with children?
Thank you, Doreen. This is a time the parents should be celebrating because they actually have an opportunity to engage with children. And we see parents very busy and doing so many things, but I think their core business is parenting. And I'm looking at 2 months as a big opportunity to be with children. Those that are coming from boarding schools, what are the issues they have faced there? Engage the children, get to know what they liked, what they didn't like, and then now start planning on how to spend the time together. Call for a family meeting and really start planning, involving everybody in the family, including the nannies or the domestic workers, because sometimes these are the people taking care of the children. Yeah, so it's a great opportunity to me, yes.
It's a good time for parents to be with children.
Oh, yes.
2 months, such a long time, but there's so much you can do in these 2 months.
Yes, if they know what to do with them.
I hear you.
Yes.
I want to pick your voice on something that Immaculate has said, Duncan, and this is on the issue of parenting is the core business of parents. And there's really quite a lot that parents could be doing. And I mean, right now, anytime you have a conversation, you don't mean to talk about the high cost of living and parents really being engaging in looking for jobs and work, even at this point where it's supposed to be a holiday. But parenting is the core business of a parent. How do you navigate this? How do you do this?
Well, I have very interesting comments around parenting being the core business.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we have data that shows that parents are scared when their children are at home. I mean, we've had teachers say, I think there was a time the Minister for Education also said you can't leave parenting. I think it was the PS. You can't leave parenting to teachers.
PS Kim Sang, actually, it was just 2 weeks ago, and he was talking about
parenting is scary. I read a quote that says, especially those of parents who have teenagers, they said, teenagers are God's revenge on humanity for people you created in your own image who do not necessarily respect or do what you want them to do.
That looks like a tongue twister.
Yeah, but you know, God created us and sometimes we don't behave like the way he wants. And so God created teenagers to teach us a little bit about how that feels.
Okay.
But I think the thing is, the long holiday is actually an opportunity to actually even know your children. You know, there are scenarios where they say, you know, whatever you do will follow you, and sometimes kids are not available enough to see what their parents are all about. You know, stories about where your grandfather came from, you know, they're missing in there actually, because we live either in towns and all. And so this holiday gives an opportunity for you to actually parent, and part of parenting is not to be there, you know, with a stick and all that, but it's about just being available for your children, also to pick out nuances that this is that, you know, your perfections, imperfections, but this is who we are, you know, because we have a lot of identity crisis in high schools. You know, you've seen, you know, children turning out differently in many other scenarios, drugs and all that, but part of it is just to also realize that maybe your child is that, sometimes we give feedback to parents and say, hey, your kid is not the most behaved person in the society. But you have parents who keep defending all that. So part of parenting is to agree that, hey, I have a situation. You know, mine started doing 1 or 2 things and I'm dealing. And part of it is just giving them hope. And so parenting to the core is actually being available for those who are around you and your family. If anything, someone said, your family is your license for what you do. So really, this is, I think, an opportunity for parents to have time and get to know even their children. Sometimes you think you know your children, you don't, until you spend some time with them, asking critical questions, or something, just listening, paying attention to them, picking nuances, intuitions, and you realize maybe you're living with a few fraudsters in your house, and you just need to,
You're choosing to be economical with the words that are in your head.
Be careful. This is a parenting.
It's a parenting show. You want to add on that?
Yeah, I want to comment on what he just said, that parents have to be there for their children.
Yes.
It's very unfortunate that we see parents sending their children up country. They close today, tomorrow they are heading to up country. You didn't have the children for like when they were in school, when they were in boarding school, even when they were going every day. You'd wake up in the morning, go to the office, and they go to school. So you really never had an opportunity. So it is important. You must be intentional. We take leaves for other things, but we take leave to go and stay with our children.
Good
and
question.
Tell your boss, I have my children. This is a whole project that needs your attention. Get time and have a meeting. They're on holiday, have a meeting with your family, the entire family. It could be around dinner or family meal, and get to understand each other and plan together. Yeah, get to know what they like. It's not about being an authoritarian, that you must do this, you must do this, you must not do this. Walk the journey, respect children, listen to them, get to know what they like, what they don't like, get to know what kind of support they need from you. Yeah, and really offer that unconditional love. Yes.
But there's some quarters that would argue immaculate, and I'm already seeing Duncan agreeing with you on that point of not taking them to up country.
Yes.
But again, what I wanted to ask, that there's some quarters that would say, but I am taking them to up country and I will visit, or I will be there. Plus, when we talk about even learning about our culture, custom and traditions, we've just said that they were in the city maybe the whole year. So where is the harm in sending them to the village or up country?
You see, Doreen, there is no plan with whoever will be up country.
Okay.
That I would like you to engage my children to know, like the family tree. Who are they? Where do they come from? What's the culture? And let the children also know that there will be these sessions. You see, we have children in the urban areas, and we have children in the rural areas. So these ones in town have their own lifestyle. So when they go up country, sometimes they get frustrated because the lifestyle is different and you didn't prepare them. Neither did you prepare the caregivers where they are going. That probably there are a few activities that you could do so that it is enjoyable. And that's why you hear children from urban centers, when they go home, they're doing all sorts of crazy things. Why? Nobody prepared them. That's not their usual environment.
Okay.
Yeah, so if there is a plan, you take them there and you sit down with the caregiver. It could be a grandmother, whoever it is, and say, hey, you're here for a week. What do you want to do here? First, listen to them. What do you want to do? What do you like when you come here? And then now, together, plan. Day one, this is what we want to do. Day two, this is what we want to do. That engagement, that respect for the child is not about telling. Listen
so this
to
needs
them.
to be like a consolidated
Yes.
Okay.
And agree on a number of things.
All right.
Set up even rules together, not you saying, I don't want you to come at this time, I don't want to do, I don't. Set the rules together.
This is indeed quite a shift from how parenting was.
I know.
Yeah.
You set rules with children.
Oh yes, together. Together, because if you do it, every time they'll endeavor to break. And you'll be very frustrated, they'll be very frustrated. We are talking about working together. And then values. What are the values for our family?
We'll come to that. We'll come to that momentarily. But you are just agreeing with how this is a shift.
I was agreeing with the shift. I was agreeing with the preparation. But I was not agreeing with a few other. I think context matters.
All right.
One, I'm of the opinion that these kids who grow up in town should go to the village, get to even see where food comes from, you know, and realize that, you know, sometimes we grow up, you reach, you know, I'm getting into that age where doctors are telling me to eat more ngwashes than meat. Yet my teachers told me if I work hard, I'll eat meat. But
and you can't reconcile.
Yes. So the thing is, the kids need to be in a space where they get to understand the full context. If they are to understand where they come from, their reports or compositions. My holiday is a lot richer when they interacted with a cow in the village as opposed to one on national TV. Or, you know. So in that sense, I agree. But also we must understand as parents that we were once children and they are not yet parents. So even in the negotiations, you ask more powerful questions as opposed, and I agree with her in the sense that you co-create, but even in the co-creation, you're leading them to see their blind spots in their judgment because they are kids. You know, there's a level at which it's my way or the highway in my house. There's a time I had someone living with me and they said I shouldn't get to their room because I'm interfering with their privacy, and they said I built this house because I needed freedom to get into every room that I want anytime I want. So as parents, I got to, you know, co-create that environment, but at the same time, I agree that they need to be taken to different contexts. To emphasize Imaculate's point is just that I think our involvement it shouldn't mean that we are shoving off responsibility to people in the village. Now they are saying they can't take tea, black tea, or, you know, they're saying they can't take tea without bread, and, you know, those, you know, while sometimes we are at fault.
Must have sausages and eggs.
Must have sausages and eggs. Yet, you know, some of us grew up, you take breakfast at 11.
And 7.
Some, you know, I almost said githeri, but my in-laws will kill me because... But the point is that they are contexts, and the beauty of our culture is understood in those contexts. The unfortunate thing, and I think Immaculate alluded to it, is when parents say we take kids at home, sometimes for us it's the safest option currently, because in town you don't even know your neighbor. You know, in Nairobi city sometimes it takes a year for you to realize your neighbor is fond of wearing a yellow cap or something like that. So my point is sometimes that's the safest, but also what we are emphasizing is we are saying get involved, get to know what they are doing, get to prepare their mind and say, by the way, you're used to waking up this way in that context. Maybe you have to milk your own, you know, milk for you to make tea with milk. You know, the context is different. The shop with the milk packet is you actually doing something. And I think they'll have it fun if you make it experiential in that sense. But at the same time, we must also understand the context we live in as parents. It's very difficult to parent. Kids know much more. I was in a space where I was doing something with kids and teenagers, and I asked them, what is the best gift you've ever been given by your parents? And it was Wi-Fi.
Really?
Yes.
Not even spending time understanding me as a child?
No. And that's why a kid can easily even commit suicide, because they were denied access to their phone, because their life is defined by that gadget. So we must also understand that every generation is different, and while as parents we have a desire to bring up children the best way possible, there's also a level at which you are not in control, and maybe you just thank God that, you know, they turn out right. Maybe a caveat, even God's children didn't turn out very correct, so don't beat yourself up when your kids also just do you.
Like a message of hope.
Yeah, the emphasis is do what is required of you as a parent.
And pray they turn out best.
Yes.
And if they do, thank God for that.
Yeah, if they don't turn out, at least there will be an example in a sentence of a bad children. There's a benefit to it.
Making that kind of at this point.
I'm just saying, as we encourage parents to be present, and that's key, because you don't want to grow up and your kids don't even know who you are. They don't even know, if your kid asks you what's my favorite color, especially girls, and you don't know how much hurting that is to them. And maybe that color they just picked it from some soap opera thing. They say this is the favorite color, So I'm just saying that as we encourage parents to be intentional, to be available, we're also saying when they do their best, they should also beat themselves up, because the context is important. We have parents who are working so hard to get that school fees for, you know, that time.
Yeah.
They might not be as available. What we are saying is be available.
And even as we speak, the state has removed the subsidy for education. So beginning next year,
Yeah.
you know, perhaps January, it may just be really hearing different stories. Well, what you're saying really does make sense in that regard. Immaculate, there's a point that you made, and I want you to elucidate on it just a bit more.
Okay.
This is on the working together with the children. And on that point, I remember I threw in a pointer that, you know, parenting has changed from how it was, that you would sit down with your children and you'd actually make rules and regulations of even how to run the home or the house in that moment. How do you, I mean, at what point do you begin as a parent that now we are sitting and we are deciding, this is what we'll do, we won't do this?
Okay, thank you, Doreen. Now, it can't just happen. We cannot wake up and say, today we are meeting to make rules. We need to have walked on a journey where we are friends. Parents and children are friends.
Okay.
And pick a time where you can do a fun activity together. You've just had this interview on tree planting and growing.
Yes.
Hey, say today we are going to plant some fruit trees. We are going to do something. We are going to do some gardening, or we are going to bake. And then bring up a conversation and start discussing. It cannot just, just fall. Then purpose now to have like a family meeting where everybody comes home in good time. If there are two parents, whoever the guardians are, let's sit and let's talk over dinner. So you have these 60 days or 30 days. What do you want to do? Make it friendly. Let every child get an opportunity to say what they think they want to do. Listen to them. And then interject, because like we had Duncan saying, today every child wants. I visited a friend of mine on Saturday, and this is a 6-year-old child. They're on their laptop for more than 1 hour. They didn't speak to anybody. That is good, but are we monitoring? So let's be friends first and foremost, and then engage each other. The 3-year-old, the 5-year-old, the 17-year-old, anybody below 18 years is a child. So let's not assume or kind of feel that because my daughter is 17, my son is 15, now they're almost adults, because that's what we are observing. They are children and they need your guidance. So you must be able to bring them together and start walking the journey together. Talk about rules. Let them start the discussion, then build on it. For example, if we have a 17-year-old child, these are the children whom we see going into the neighborhood. They're always, I'm meeting so-and-so, they're with their friends. And what time do they come home? Some will come even after 7. Is it okay? So we can agree that one rule is that everybody is at home by this time. And we agree. So, and we say, what are the penalties if you break? So we start walking the journey. Not telling, if you tell an adolescent, I don't want this, I can tell you you're frustrating them, and they'll do everything possible not to follow their rules. But if you also explain, why is it that we must all be home at this time? He just talked about safety issues. We see a lot happening to children, and they are targeting. I mean, we say the young people are targeted today by all evil forces. So let them know, why am I saying that you need to be home at this time? Don't just say, don't come, don't. There's so much that is happening. So it's really a friendly journey. And I say that you need to be to engage as friends. There are times you use different parenting styles. Sometimes you'll be hard. Yeah, sometimes it'll be hard depending on what the children are doing. So what is important is to know where you need to engage. Probably not being too soft, being hard, and also having a balance. As you set the rules, bring in values. What do we value here? Right. So the rules will be based on values. We can't all be sitting down and waiting for one person probably to cook for us. Why is it important for boys and girls to learn cooking? It's very sad. My friend was telling me the daughter went out of the country, and they had this day where everybody was to prepare a meal based on where they were coming from. And the girl could not prepare anything. You know what she did? She called the mother, and they were cooking on phone. Mom, I've cut the onion. What do I add next?
She has not planned it.
No, let's sit with our children. Let's be intentional and begin walking the journey at the early childhood period. They say you cannot straighten a tree that is already bent, but the early childhood years, the foundational years, are really key in terms of what we want to see the future person. So as parents, we must be there to guide. We must be there to take care of the children's needs. We must respect the children, offer unconditional love. There is so much, and that's why I'm saying it's my core business. We may say we are working so hard to get school fees. All right, you might get a very brilliant child, but they are lost. Socially, emotionally, we don't have children. And that's what probably we are observing today.
So then you have just said that, and what I'm getting from you is that this is a journey cultivated over time. You just don't wake up and now, because we are on 2 months break now, let's sit and start making rules and regulation. There's going to be a bit of a disconnect there. So assuming for these parents who perhaps, just as you said, out there looking for this money, going on the hustle, and maybe they haven't even been having this time, or they haven't even ever thought that we need to be cultivating this with the children over time. So then it becomes easier to sit down and say, okay, let's decide, we'll do this and do that and do that. And they're probably listening to you as you speak. For such kind of a parent now, what do they do?
Now, they will still do, and that's what I was saying, we need to create a fun activity. Sundays, Saturdays, I'm sure even the very busy parents have a bit of time. And what I've been telling parents, that time can it be quality. It could be the man of the home, he's very busy, but when he comes, it could be just 10 minutes. Use that little time wisely, let it be quality. Now that parents didn't walk the journey with the children, they can still work on something, because parents are preparing children for that adulthood. They are preparing children to be able to solve problems. So even if they didn't prepare them from that, it's ideal to do so then. But now that we are here, we need to do something. Get an opportunity. It could be a holiday. We have very many holidays. It could be a Sunday, it could be a Saturday. Just sit together, listen to them. You can begin at the point of, if they're in school, what was it like? Begin, let it happen naturally. It's not a point at which we are investigating. Talk about, even you as a caregiver, I should share my challenges. What are my challenges out there? What's happening in my life? What makes me happy? What disappoints me? Let the children also tell you. I'm encouraging this a lot. Let the children tell you what they like about you, what they don't like, what support. Then now start it, okay, fine, we have this day, what do we want to do? Mom, are you taking some days off to be with us? What do you want me to do with you? Do we have other children visiting us? Who are your friends? Who are your friends? Sometimes as parents, we are very happy saying, oh, my children are with Duncan's children, we are friends. Then Duncan, we are friends. But we don't know what our children are doing. What my child picked from school and what his children picked. But we have that comfort. And that's why you see when certain things happen, parents deny, say, no. It cannot, huyo sio wangu, watoto wangu nawajua. So it's really important to walk the journey at the point of where they are.
All right.
Yes.
Is this the route we need to be taking, Duncan, more of a consolidated effort in deciding, as opposed to how it was, whereby the father or the mother would impose this is what we are doing. This is the time you're waking up. And whoever does not do it, it is my road or the highway.
Yes, we have a totally new set of children. They are not like us. We must accept that.
Yes. That's the first point to start from.
Yeah, they are not like us. They are different. They have been taught their rights in grade what?
They can even sue you as a parent.
Yeah, the time, you hear your child telling you you're not very assertive. They'll answer you back because they have been taught to question.
Yes.
In the African context, we were not supposed to question.
Yeah.
You are there to be seen and not to be heard.
And you can't even sit and make rules.
Yes. No. Our school curriculum is teaching our kids to be global citizens, to ask and question things. So I agree that then the approach has to be different. And I recommend, of course, now the coaching approach, which instead of telling, you ask. They will actually give you better results. When you say, I want you to come home by 5. Who said it? You're the one who said it. Usually that 5 is when, if it's boy child, that's when the game is really nice. It's sweet. When they come home, they're feeling bad. You are the monster. You are the enemy. But if you sit down and say, hey, today I know you're going to play football. What time do you want to come home? Sometimes they'll even say 2. But because they say it, chances of owning it and you holding them to account is easier and faster. So instead of telling, you ask. You say, what do you want us to do? And she's been alluding to all this, saying, what do you like us to eat today? Who is preparing the meal? So you involve them so that they don't feel like, oh, Jen, you are the one to wash dishes today. Sometimes, I'll give an example. My mom brought up 4 boys, under her care, military style, food and the ken, me being the firstborn, I was kenned the most. I was kenned for other people's mistakes. I don't think you can do that for current firstborns.
In fact, you'll kill them and they'll ask you why.
Yeah, they'll become suicidal. They will become...
True. Yes.
It's interesting, you can have a 6-year-old telling you, I'm stressed. Those terms, we started using them when we were in Form 4.
And you wonder, what's stressing you?
You're wondering,
I'm paying for your fees.
Exactly.
You're staying in my house.
You
eat my food. You wonder
don't have any meal. So involve, engage them. Ask, don't tell.
Okay.
And especially if you have teenagers, it's important. I like what she said also, and I think we may miss that out. Create the context to lower their guard, to trust you, so that even as you engage, they feel like you're authentic. And time is a factor to that. If you don't spend time with me, you will not know me. If you only spend time with me in the sitting room, you will not know me when I'm in the football. It's even when we talk about dating, what do we say? Go see this guy when he's swimming, when he's around his friends. Go and see, you will have a better picture than only when you're meeting over a plate of, chips and whatnot.
Yes.
So you cannot, for you to know them in 3D, give them drawing options, lower their guard, do things experientially together. Whatever that is, it'll lower their guard. And in the midst of all that, you also become vulnerable. Say, hey, I was stressed this year, school fees, I'll be looking. What you're saying is you're giving them hope. You're not saying, I'm dead, I don't have, I don't know where I'll get, because we grew up with parents who would remind us and tell us, you guys don't know how much I've sacrificed. We didn't apply to be born in this home.
I did say that.
But there's a sense in which you can tell them, hey, it's not easy, and I'm giving you the best shot in life. That's why most of the money I'm working for. So because of that, I would like you to remain at home but be responsible. Then they see the connection, the nexus between you not being around, and that when you're around, then you're making the most of the time that... So I think I was emphasizing the fact that the engagement process is different. There are questions you can ask. If you ask your child, why are you late? What you're asking is, you're asking them to defend themselves.
Yes.
But if you ask, I noticed you didn't come home early today. Is there something I need to know? You're asking
your
for
way
information.
of communication also does matter.
Exactly. So that then the second question is giving you information that can help you make decisions.
All right.
But if you found, there are people like me, if you ask me, even in the middle of the night, I'll give you an answer. And chances are, if you, maybe let me give an example. If someone is coming to work late, you're the boss, and you say, why are you late? And then they say, the caretaker close me in the house. How do you punish that?
How do you ascertain?
How do you ascertain? Or they say we fell in a river. I had to go back home, and well, how do you validate that? Will you punish? But if you say, hey, I noticed you didn't come to work early, is there something I need to know? They'll say, sorry, then you realize this is information you can use to make decisions. In the storytelling points, in those activities you do as a family, as a parent, there are things we call you peak intuitions. As you listen in, there's the first level of listening, which you listen for yourself, which is the lowest, where you ask a parent, can you play, a kid asks a parent, can you play with me today? The parent says, don't you know I'm going back to work? That's lowest level of listening. You didn't validate what they had told you. Then there's where you listen for them, say, oh, sorry, I would really love to, to play with you, but I'm second level. But the third level is where you pick the unsaid in the said. You can't pick the unsaid unless you create a context, which Immaculate was alluding to, that creates environment. As you're cooking together, you will hear your daughter sighing too much. Those intuitions, pick them. Say, I noticed you look like you're a little, what is If your child came back from school and you said, what was the most interesting thing about school today? Yeah. That's a better question than saying, did you learn maths? It doesn't make sense, So remember, our parents were number one in school. These parents have an idea. Some of them these kids have an idea. They've been stumbling upon information. I have had kids correct my English in my own house. You get what I mean?
Yes.
My point is, because of that, then our engaging model must involve them. Nothing for them without them.
Okay.
But at the same time, you sell through those decisions to look like they came through from them. Like if, their kids will tell you, I don't want to go to this school. For you, that's the only school you can afford. The one they are having peer pressure about, you can't afford. So you must sell it through and say, by the way, and there's a level at which also they need leadership. And you can't show it unless in those vulnerable moments when you finally, they lower their guard and you're engaging, then you say, finally, this is the direction I want us to go as a family. Okay. Because that's where we are now.
I hear you. Yeah. So then does that answer that question of availability? Because again, often than not, we have had those sentiments, and this is coming from children most of the times. And most of the time, again, during these long, lengthy breaks, that mom and dad is there, but not there. I would even see him in the house even morning to evening, but they're not there. So they would even feel the comfort to go and talk to a neighbor if they are close to, or talk to a friend or an aunt, as opposed to the mom and dad. Yet you are actually there present, but not present. What is this?
You can be present and not present. That is a given. Have you ever talked to someone on phone and you knew they're not listening to you?
Yes.
If you can pick that.
Much as it's not face to face.
Not face to face.
Yes.
But you can tell they are there, they're sighing, but you know they're not listening. So they're able to tell. I had a session with some kids 2 years during COVID, unplugged, where we had a session with teenagers between the age of 12 to 16 and no phone for 2 days. The first thing, of course, we did a game called Never Ever Have I Ever. So which is pretty much you say what you have never done, but you suspect your friends have done. 90% of them had tasted a drug. A few
what
of them.
What age bracket are we talking about?
Between the age of 12 and 16.
Wow.
So 90% of them had tasted a drug. Some of them were sexually active. Some of them had seen. So my point is this. There is a sense in which we think we know our children. We don't unless we create an availability for us to actually know them. And they cannot trust us if they only think we are there when we ask, show me your report card. Show me, we must be present. But one of the things that jumped out is there's this kid who said, I want my mom to be available. I talked to the mom said, every weekend we go to Arboretum, we sit down, we have our food together as a family, as my way of being available. Then I asked the boy, so what is the issue here? He said, mom buys her kind of food and she takes us to places she wants. She never involves us. I said, what do you want?
So much as the mom felt, I am going an extra mile.
The parent's intention is pure. I have a weekend to be available for my children.
But the children are not feeling it.
So my children are not feeling it. But she's ticking the box that I'm available. What this kid wants is he wanted to be involved. And for him, he wanted to go to Java, not Arboretum. So part of it is, as you give them what they want, you must have your own bargaining chips. You say, this is, parents are what they call benevolent dictators. Remember our parents?
Yes.
They'll say, be number one, I'll buy you a bicycle, So there must be, what is in it for me as a parent in me giving tapping into your wins. Are you going to be number one? There are kids who will have pressure because they want to have the latest phone. They will tell you this has code core, you know, all the things. For us, we just need, can you receive M-Pesa? We are okay. The thing is, they will be stressed over, so you must build those bargaining options, but you must understand where they are coming from, or else you will think you're doing your best. All of a sudden you realize things have been happening even under your own roof, and you had no idea.
Makes a lot of sense. And you have like what, 5 minutes to exit this space, and I wouldn't want us to do that without talking about this specific set, the adolescents. Just on that particular press at Harambee House, you had the CS Interior, Kithure Kindiki, talking about how he's commissioning chiefs and county officers to look into how children can be protected in this festive season. And it's a time where you'd hear a lot of cases of teen pregnancies, abuse of alcohol, and this oftentimes emanate from that particular set, adolescents. How do you guide, as a parent in this time, how do you guide this particular set of children? Immaculate, what's your voice on this one?
Thank you. Now, first and foremost, I think it's important for parents to reflect back on how they were parented, what they didn't like and what they liked. Because we are seeing parents who are bringing up their children based on how they were parented. Duncan just mentioned that we're in different times. So what is happening in the world? Where is the world heading? And then try to guide our children to fit in. We are looking at the digital platform today. That's where the world is. But we must also be there to offer leadership and not to assume, like I said, 17-year-olds are old enough. They still need guidance. Two, the child's voice is important. And communication, he just talked about communication. Parents must endeavor to listen to their children. What are they saying? And how then do you plug in? It's very sad that teenage pregnancy has just skyrocketed. We're looking at the figures in Kajiado, where I come from, and it's bad. Children between 11 and 17, 19, many of them are pregnant. A number of reasons have been given as to why this is happening. I want to pick on one. Duncan mentioned drugs, alcohol abuse. One, neglect. Parents have just kind of neglected this, and children are parenting themselves. You are not there. You wake up, you go, you wake up, you go. So children have their own things that they are doing. Now, teenage pregnancy, some time back, people would blame, is the boda, is the who. But do you know it's peer-to-peer? Why? It's all around parenting. Why is my son making his daughter pregnant? My son is 15 years and the daughter is 12 years. What is it? What is lacking in my family and in his family? It means we are not having that engagement to know, even to talk about our family vision. What's our family vision? What do we want? What do we want to see with Jane, who is 12 years today? What do we want to see with Mark, who is 10 or 9 years today? So there's something that we are lacking, and I think it's important for parents to be intentional and sit down and discuss.
I hear you.
What does it mean for a 13-year-old to be pregnant? One, even their bodies are not ready for pregnancy. So how do they take care of themselves? Because we have to start them on antenatal. Do they understand these things? What's the danger? Really, of these things. There's so much that we can say around that. And even the boy, why are we having boys making the girls pregnant? Is it that we have neglected the boys and they kind of want to intimidate the girls? What are the issues?
I hear you.
There's so much.
I hear you. I mean, there's really quite a lot we can talk about, but we are pinched for time, and I want to give you the last word, Duncan, on this one. Let me just get your headline thoughts on this parenting during the festive season.
I think we've generally discussed that, one, we need to be present, get involved. We've just, the last bit of it, we've been talking about teenage sexuality and all. Growing up, sex was a taboo. No, my parents would not talk about it. But I think there's an auntie, a cousin, where we can get them to send the message that you are not ready to send. But more importantly, enjoy your season. There's a level at which your kids will not longer be with you. Don't feel misunderstood that in old age you miss out on the fact that you knew them. There's someone who mentioned about the regrets of life. I think I saw a clip going around, but one of the regrets is they were regretting having worked that hard. And the question was, they missed moments. My coach called Leslie Brickman once asked him, what is your greatest regret? He said, my wife was with my kids and they used to take photos of the birthdays, everything. When I look at those photos, I feel like crying because I missed the moments. What counts at the end of it all is that at the end of the day, if we have a stronger family, then even the nation will be safe. The minister has, said something. I think they need to go deeper than that, than just wait until the festive season and declare something. So let's go for it. Let's be parents. But also don't beat yourselves if they don't come out right, as I say.
Thank God if they do so.
And let them enjoy. Enjoy together.
Okay,
I
hear you.
Yes.
I mean, there's really quite a lot we could converse around. In fact, just the last statements really orient quite a lot of discussion that we could have had, but we have to cover it at this point. You're already strapped for time. Nonetheless, thank you so much for your time. Highly value your insights. Asante sana.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doreen.
Thank you too. I had been speaking to Immaculate Salaon, who's the founder and CEO of Community Initiative Agenda, also a parent, as well as Duncan Chumo, a life coach, a parent and a teacher by training. What has formed the center of our discussion this 45 minutes ago is just parenting during this festive season. Good place to end this conversation. Till tomorrow, Asante sana.